California is a full-blown assault on peace, on public order, and on national sovereignty carried out by rioters.
Those were visuals from the city of Los Angeles, which is still burning with outrage. And what began in LA has now lit a fire across the country. Protests against the Trump administration's renewed immigration crackdown have swept across the United States, with demonstrations rallying across cities coast to coast. This unrest was sparked by intensified ICE raids that began last Friday, targeting undocumented immigrants at workplaces and public spaces. However, Los Angeles remains the epicenter of the movement, and a curfew is now imposed across parts of downtown LA from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. and may continue for several days. LA Mayor Karen Bass said it was necessary due to rising vandalism and looting.
Many businesses have now been affected by or vandalized. Last night there were 23 businesses that were looted, and I think that if you drive through downtown LA, the graffiti is everywhere and has caused significant damages to businesses and a number of properties.
By Tuesday evening, the Los Angeles Police Department had begun mass arrests, with dozens detained for failing to disperse. And since the weekend, over 378 people have been arrested in LA alone. In fact, 7 officers have also been injured, 5 with minor injuries and 2 briefly hospitalized. President Donald Trump has authorized the deployment of over 2,000 National Guard troops and 700 Marines to Los Angeles. However, both Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor Bass have condemned the move as excessive.
Rioters, or whatever you want to call them, they better know a lot of people are being arrested. They're going to be in jail for a long time. Thank you very much.
California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next. Democracy is under assault before our eyes. This moment we have feared has arrived.
Meanwhile, across the country, protests have grown in both size and intensity. In New York City, thousands gathered in Foley Square, chanting against ICE and carrying signs saying, "ICE out of New York." In Chicago, a large crowd protested outside an immigration court and marched downtown. Tensions rose when a car drove through the crowd, narrowly missing demonstrators.
No ICE, no fascists, no Trump, no ICE, no fascists, USA. Our streets, our streets, our streets, move us, get out the way. What are y'all doing? No, stop.
And in Omaha, protests followed an ICE raid on a meatpacking plant that led to 80 arrests.
Where are they from?
Honduras.
Are you worried about them being deported?
Oh, yeah.
Honduras?
Of course.
How long have they been here? Do you know?
Like 3 years.
How long have you been here? Were you
My whole life, I was born here.
And in the Pacific Northwest, the city of Seattle saw about 50 demonstrators gather near a federal building. And after a brief rally, protesters used e-bikes and scooters to block vehicles believed to be transporting detainees.
Every single day for the past 3 weeks when I show up, I just go through security and I go up. And today they weren't allowing anybody unless you had an appointment. But if you had an immigration appointment, they would let you up.
In Metro Atlanta, hundreds marched in solidarity with LA. Dallas and Austin also hosted large demonstrations earlier in the week. And NBC News reported that at least 25 protests have taken place since Monday, some with only a few dozen participants, others with thousands. However, per multiple reports, up to 1,800 protests are expected this weekend, the same time as President Trump's planned military parade in Washington, D.C., which also coincides with his birthday. Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced Tuesday that the National Guard will be deployed across the state in preparation for protests. So as America heads into the weekend, the growing defiance seems to have just begun, and it's anyone's guess how soon or if there's an end in sight.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English, French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktoren,
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka-charge mo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Fiskali radikali.
Japanese,
4兆ドル以上も
Portuguese,
por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.